and I am here with my May wrap up, and sorry about the shadows, whatever. So like I said, this is my May wrap up. I read 13 books in the month of May. There were 4 3-star books, 7 4-star books, and 2 5-star books. So let's get started. Hi Murphy. Yeah, you've been ignoring me all day, but I just turned on the camera, so now we gotta get attention, huh? First is The Return by Jennifer L. Armentrout, which is the first book in the Titan series. And actually, let me just get out of the way because I did end up reading all 4 of them this month. This one was a reread. And then I read The Power, The Struggle, and The Prophecy. And this is like a new adult paranormal slash like urban fantasy series. This is a spin-off series to the Covenant series, so I feel like extra weird about talking about it because if you read these without reading the Covenant series, you'll spoil the Covenant series. Like, I don't think you should do that, but whatever. The series is very much like Vampire Academy. Like the original, the Covenant series especially, is very Vampire Academy inspired. But instead of having like vampires or anything, here what you have are descendants of like Greek gods. So there are people who are pures, which are people who are like kind of true descendants of the gods, like two like other peers have had a kid. And then you have halves, which are when a peer and a human has a baby, or like a peer and a half, maybe not a peer and a human, I don't know, whatever. But there's like those like political things going on. So yeah, all 4 books got 4 stars, so the series is a 4-star read for me. I think it's a good series. I enjoyed it. Obviously I read it all in a month. I can't believe that was all this month, but it was. I really enjoyed it. I continued with my reread of the Bloodline series with The Fiery Heart, which is book 4 in the Bloodline series by Rochelle Mead. I gave this 5 stars, just like I did last time. I won't say a lot because it's book 4 in a series, but I still am enjoying this. I think that the tension is really good and I'm loving these characters. And then I read Top Secret by Serena Bowen and Al Kennedy, and this is the first time they've written a male-male romance in 3 years. And I gave it 4 stars. It's set in a college. It's about a guy named Keaton, and his girlfriend wants a threesome for her birthday, so he signs up for this like Tinder style app kind of thing to find a guy to have the threesome with, and ends up kind of like falling for the other guy. I really liked the interaction between the 2 guys, especially like over the app. I've said this before, I'm really into textual communication. I think it's really fun to read. So this had a ton of that. The 2 characters had a ton of banter. There is kind of like a enemies to lovers feel to this. Serena Bowen and Al Kennedy say that there is no cheating in this book, and they say, like when they were promoting it, they said there's no cheating, you'll see. I would say that that is a gray area. Personally, my interpretation of it is that like you could consider this cheating. I still enjoyed the characters. I still really root for these 2 guys being together, but I do think it's a gray area. The characters were really fun to read. It was really fast. I definitely recommend it. And it's very different from like Him and Us, which I haven't read Us yet, but that I remember being more angsty, and this is really fun and pretty lighthearted, which is a nice little thing in romance. And then I read Fluffy by Julia Kent, which is a contemporary romance. This was a May, or it might have been like April 30th or something it came out, I don't know, release. And this, I gave it 3 stars. It was okay. It was a little underdeveloped. It was kind of immature. The heroine is she's like an interior designer, decorator, but she specifically does staging homes, and she ends up answering a Craigslist ad for a fluffer, which is like supposedly an old term for that job, but a fluffer is also a job in porn. So she ends up going to like a porn site, and she like has, or like a porn shoot, and she has like no idea and stuff. She's very naive, but she's very smart, which I'm not saying can't happen, but her naivete was a little unbelievable. Not the fluffer thing, I can see not knowing that, but like there was a lot she didn't know that I felt was very suspicious. The romance was cute, but it was just, I feel like this needed more editing, maybe not like copy editing kind of stuff, but content editing, in my opinion. It read a lot like a Hallmark movie, like very basic and not fully developed. And then I listened to the last Books of Bayern book, and that is Forestborne by Shannon Hale. And like I said, I listened to it full cast audio. I highly recommend these. They were amazing. I would give this 5 stars for the audiobook. I think I stand by my 4-star rating for the content of this as a read book, but the audiobook is just beautiful, so I have to give it 5 stars. This follows Rin, who is Razo's little sister, so it is a little different. Like, you still get to spend a lot of time with the other characters, but she's like an outsider to those characters, so it has a different perspective, and her story is different. It is interesting to read, and I feel like in a lot of ways it's kind of sad that this is the last book, because I think people who potentially have issues with like books 1 through 3 could really like this. Like, I feel like they're very different tonally and what they explore within a character. So I can see the books being like for 2 different types of people, but people aren't going to necessarily push through the rest of the series to get here, and I'm not sure they should, but you know. And I just love all of these characters and the relationships and everything, and I'm really glad I listened to these audiobooks. Then I read an ebook that I got from NetGalley. It was Fix Her Up by Tessa Bailey. I believe this comes out in June, like the 14th or something it might be. I gave this 3 stars. It is a contemporary romance. It's the first book in a new series by her called Hot and Hammered. I've never read any of her books before, but I did look her up. It has like unrequited lovers, fake dating, and the best friend sibling thing, which are unrequited love is like my least favorite trope, and the whole siblings best friend sibling thing really bothers me. I don't understand why, as adults especially, people think that they have a say in who their siblings date and get so personally offended by it. Like, I understand if you don't like a person, but just being like, you're my best friend, you can't date my sister because she's my sister. I just think that that's just bleh. I don't like it. It was enjoyable. It had likable characters, both the hero and the heroine. The heroine has a lot of like growing to do, and it's less that like she has to grow and mature internally herself, and more like growing up for her family to see that she has grown up and gotten older and is a mature adult now, which I don't think is something I've seen a lot in romance, especially when you have younger set heroines. Like, she is a little young, and it's so funny because if I had read this in high school I wouldn't have thought she was young, but now that I'm 30, because I think she's like 23, now that I'm 30, I think that she's like a child. Thought there was really nice positive female friendships in here. There was some good sequel bait. I definitely want to check out the next book when it's released, but it's probably something I would try to get from the library. I found the sex scenes to be a little weird. Like, tonally they didn't seem to match up with the rest of the book, and I haven't read any other Tessa Bailey, so I don't know if this is a common thing, or maybe she only like writes one type of sex scene, which there are authors like that. Stephanie Lawrence. I mean, I haven't read a book by her in like 10 years, so it could have changed, but I don't think it has. maybe she just has like a style. It just felt different and off here. I have been reading at night A Tyranny of Petticoats, and I finished it. And this is an anthology edited by Jessica Spotswood, and this is 15 short stories by YA authors, and it follows like 15 different girls from across America, the United States. But I think they're all like post United States founding. No, they are not, but most of them are. And it's very diverse in like content, character, and style. Like there's different styles in here. It's not all just straight historical fiction. You have some like paranormal or fantastical elements. A lot of them ended up feeling like setups for full-length novels, which I feel like is a pretty common thing to have happen in anthologies, and I wouldn't mind reading some of those stories, but that's not what a short story is. So, you know, I gotta dock it for that. Overall, I give this 3 stars. I did write a review, and I wrote down like little blurbs for each of the stories as I read them. I'm not sure they're super informative or anything, but I did do that. And some of my favorites, if you have read this, are Madeline's Choice, Gold in the Roots in the Grass, I think that's what it's called, The Legendary Garrett Girls, and Hard Times. Those are 4 that I really liked and really stood out to me. And then I was feeling like I needed another fiction audiobook in my life, so I decided to look up full cast audiobooks. And Graceling by Kristen Cashore was recommended, and I was like, oh, I recently reread that. In case you're wondering, apparently that's not true, because according to Goodreads, I read it in 2015, which was 4 years ago, but I could have sworn I reread it like last year, but I guess not. But I decided, I was like, oh, since I've just recently reread that, I'll listen to it later and I'll read the series in like chronological order. So I picked up Fire, which is not full cast audio, and neither is Bitter Blue, I don't think, just Graceling. But I listened to Fire, and honestly, I'm not sure I had ever reread this. I might have reread it. No, I think I did this, so I think this is my second reread. So this is the second Graceling book, but it takes place before Graceling. It's young adult fantasy, and it is set in a slightly different country than Graceling is. And in this world, in like this country, there are these creatures called monsters. There are animal monsters and there are human monsters, and they're like unnaturally beautiful, and they can control people's minds and like read their minds. And Fire is a monster, and so people don't trust her, they don't like her, so she struggles to find friends, and she gets wrapped up in some intrigue, and there's a romance and all of that. I gave this 4 stars. I still like it. That was the rating I had given it previously. I think it is a little on the slow side, especially compared to Fantasy Now. For the most part, that doesn't bother me. Like, I think Books of Bayern tends to be a little slow too, but I think now more and more fantasy, more and more young adult fiction is written very much like go, 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 go. So that may be off-putting to some people. I did find Fire a little whiny, and I don't know if it was that she actually is a little whiny or if it was the narrator, who I will say the narrator didn't do a bad job, but I didn't think she was particularly great. However, I also would have preferred a full cast audio, so I think that kind of plays a role. And I am currently listening to the Graceling audio right now. Those are all the physical books. So then I read an ebook, and this is one of the books on my spring TBR, and that is Winter's Beast by Twyla Turner, which I ended up giving 3 stars. I feel like maybe I should give it 4. I'm holding out at the 3 for right now. It's definitely a darker romance. It's a Beauty and the Beast retelling. It follows this young woman named Winter who is black. She's like a singing prodigy, and she has albinism, I feel like it's albinism and not albinoism, but she's an albino. And then the hero, his name is Yuri, and he's Russian. He's a bodyguard for this like evil Russian businessman who has rescued him from a really tough childhood. It's a really dark, complicated story, both just interactions between these characters. That businessman plays a huge role in their relationship as well. There's a lot of sexual, like, I don't know how to describe it. There is a lot of sex in this book, and a lot of it is dark. I don't want to say twisted because I feel like that sounds like demeaning, but that's like the only word I can think of right now. There is like a warning at the beginning of the book, so I don't think this is for everybody. It definitely made me uncomfortable sometimes, but I think I wrote this in my review because I did write a review. I think that my uncomfortableness comes more from like my perspective as an outsider to like this culture and this like world, I guess, for lack of a better word, than there actually being like something wrong with the content. There's that. I did think that the romance was really beautiful. There was just a lot of stuff in it like surrounding this relationship between Winter and Yuri that made me a little uncomfortable, but not in like a bad way, like where you're like, maybe that shouldn't have happened. Not like that. And I liked both Winter and Yuri as characters, and I really liked Winter. I thought she was really interesting. She's different. I don't think I've ever read about an albino character, so that was cool. And I would definitely be interested in checking out other work by Twyla Turner, because this was something so outside of something I would normally read that I don't know what her other books are like comparably, but I would be willing to check them out. And yeah, that is it. That is all I read in the month of May. I feel like that was really fast, but that's good, I guess. So I do not know how June is going to go. June is a very busy month for me. I have something going on almost every single weekend, if not every single weekend. I'm trying to like pre-film and pre-edit right now so that hopefully that's not like a huge problem for me. Like I have my dance recital, because I take I take 3 different adult classes, but only adult tap performs in the recital. So I have that. That's really time consuming, and just like life stuff going on. So I have no idea, but work usually slows down around this time of year, so hopefully I won't have to work late as much, and then maybe I can get caught up on stuff then. But I also, like, relatedly, I don't know how that'll impact my reading, so I guess we'll find out next month. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!